If you hang out with 4 dummies, guess who's going to be number 5?
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Together We Are Stronger, Leadership Straight, No Chasers. And let us talk about and really dive deep with the concept of clarity. The interesting thing is it's a term that you hear a lot of times, but you don't hear a lot of times. I've seen coaches that are like, hey, go out there and start even when you're not ready. And when you think about that, that's great. But if you don't have clarity to give you boundaries, you're going out there, you might as well, let's just say, go to the middle of the roadway, get ready to run across, but let's put on a blindfold. We know buses come down this roadway and just run out into the middle of the street. And if you get hit by a bus, that's cool because we didn't have clarity and we're like, we're just going to go do this because we aren't ready. And people are like, you need to do it when you're not ready. No, you need clarity. Take action. And the clarity piece is going to give you that focus, the filter piece, to filter out stuff that's not going to help you. The interesting thing is George and I have had this conversation when we had the idea for launching the podcast. I really drove down the idea of clarity, and I believe that if we really didn't touch on this every day, when George would share the idea for the podcast and really what we're trying to do, I don't think people would understand fully. But then when you hear George talk about people excited to hear and have this come out, and then having it just driven down and say, hey, here we go. It's all about the clarity piece. So, George, when you think about that, I know we talked about this all the time, and there's times that we talk about a topic and you're like, I just want to strangle you. But I think when we look at the leadership landscape, a lot of leaders don't tap into the ideal piece of clarity.
No, they don't. One of the things that I take a look at when you look at leadership, being an entrepreneur for 43 years, have success, have some failures, but again, having those failures, you learn from and you move forward. And you got to have some clarity about it, because when you are behind the 8 ball and you don't know what you're doing and you're going like you said, let's jump on the freeway and let's go blindfold. Let's see if you get hit or not get hit. It's leadership is huge. And if you're opening a business and you have no idea what you're doing and you don't have the clarity to say, okay, how do I hire somebody? When I met someone who was 16 years old, this is a true story. I met a 16-year-old who has $1 million business in the fencing and construction world. He's 16 years old. He's not even old enough to get a credit card. But the clarity of this young man, what he wants to do and how he's doing his business, is exactly what people need to learn from the ground up. He is 16, owning a multi-million-dollar business. The guy's still in high school. How do you figure? How can someone who's 16, whose life not even really start, but the key is he definitely has clarity. Every time I talk to him, he knows where he's going, what he's doing, and how he's going to take action on it.
So with him being 16,
yeah.
Do you think there's a possibility that he hasn't had to deal with, it could be his environment. If you think about people that he's around, his parents could be really feeding into him. His friends, his circle could be that thing that's feeding. But I think what gives him that advantage is he's younger. And so he's not dealing with a lot of the layers of shit that we have dealt and dumped on us, taking on other people's beliefs. And so that piece is one of those things that it's that internal piece. And when we look at a lot of individuals, we don't look internally, we look externally, and we want to blame external stuff. But ultimately, that internal piece is going to start bringing and attracting things to answer what's happening internally is showing up externally. So I wonder if that's part of that when you think about what he's doing and with those conversations. I
Oh,
think that could play a little bit, but that's another thing that we have to deal with, really going deep on the internal piece. But
mhm.
that is part of that clarity aspect. It's funny how clarity kind of is the bike tire, that's centerpiece, and then everything spokes off of it.
Yes.
But a lot of people are like, we're going to put this here and clarity's going to be a spoke. And then when clarity breaks off, you're in the middle of nowhere and you're stuck and then you're pissed off.
Well, take a look at this. 16 years old. You have 4 employees that one of them is double his age,
Hmm.
right? So this young man, 16, is a leader, a boss. And I asked him, what makes him tick when he gets up in the morning? It's the excitement of watching something come to life, meaning you're building something, right? And I said, how's it working with people who are twice your age and older, and you're the leader, the boss? He goes, it's fun because I get to learn off that. See, this guy is a sponge.
Hmm.
When we get older, that sponge gets to dry up because we cannot retain. We don't want to retain. We get comfortable. Remember, we talked about this, that comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as we get comfortable, we don't want to retain anymore. We just like, it's no big deal, right? This
Mm-hmm.
guy's a sponge, and this young man is just soaking everything up. The leadership skills, the direction where he wants to go, how he wants to go. And it's funny as I talked to him, I said, man, I'd love to have you on the podcast. He was fired up, not to promote his business, but just to talk about not just his age, but where he's at. Remember, just think, Scott, when you were 16 years old, what were you doing?
Playing sports and
Right?
working a job that I'm like, man, with everything that I have now, knowledge wise, if I could
Yeah.
have a time machine and
So,
go back. But then you get into the butterfly effect. And
mhm.
so I think when you reflect back on what's happened in the past, that's an opportunity to add to the clarity. A lot of times people have trouble going and reflecting on the past because they haven't had the maturity, the growth to go
Yeah.
back and either find the lessons or find the growth that took place. But the most important thing out of that, I would say, is the lessons, because those lessons that you can learn from can help you
Yes.
out
Yeah.
with creating that clarity. And ultimately, it's that filter system, because we have everybody loves to be a squirrel. We have new things that come on, and all of a sudden we're chasing an item, an idea that doesn't
Right.
even add to whatever we're trying to build. And then we lose momentum, we get off track. And so the clarity is really that filtering system for you to run things through and say, is this going to help me take that next step? Is this
Yeah.
going to help me open up that next door with a relationship, with the relationship capital? Or is it going to drag me away and put me so far left field, frustrated to not want to continue? Or get to a point where you're so far out there that it takes a lot of time and effort to get back. But that could also be the lesson somebody needs, which is tough to eat and it's not fun. But it is that aspect that with your clarity, it helps you filter everything. And that's really what you want to do, because that filtering system is going to say, yes, based on what you're trying to do, go after it. Or no, this is not ideal at this time. Let's put this
Mhm.
to the side, or just toss it all the way to the trash can, never to see light again. So it's one of those things that I think people miss the aspect behind it being that filtering system. And that's a big degradation to these individuals, because everything is perfect, everything is the next thing, and then you're all over the place, you have no clarity, and then people are like, do I really trust you? it's hard to have people really buy in because you can't paint the picture. And so I think your experience with that, you've been able to paint, people buy in and they see it and they're like, that's what I want, that's what we need. And it
Yeah.
makes it easier to grow out the tribe.
Yeah. And I think, and I'll finish with Isaac is basically he surrounds himself with people who understand the business of construction, that understands about leadership. We talked about it. And, at 62 years old, I'm watching this young man just rip apart boundaries that you've never seen, and especially at a very young age. And surround yourself. I mean, at 16 years old, and not to go back to this, but when you're 16, and you had hundreds of friends, right? You ride your bike, had a newspaper route, you go get ice cream, whatever you're doing, causing issues or playing sports. But this young man, it was really it was intriguing that there's hope, and and that clarity, the tribe, your community. What I mean by community is not, the neighborhood, it's the people around you and you surround yourself with. That's what keeps you moving. And that's what keeps you strong in your mind and in your heart and the drive to get up every day and put your feet on the ground because you're looking forward to win. And winning is not about making money. Winning is about how can I help people out? I got 4 guys that work for me. I'm 16, right? They're all in their 20s and early 30s. This is what I have to do, right? He has clarity what he has to do every day. And like I said, I love to have the young man on our show because he's just very talented, very humble, low key, and he just wants to win. He wants to do things because he has the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
He has the leadership to get it done. So, Isaac, this guy's amazing. So, at a young age.
Well, I think also you had highlighted though too, he is open to learning and hearing from others. And part of that clarity piece is finding the ideal individuals that are going to be the perfect fit for your circle of advisors.
Mm-hmm.
And so the circle of advisors should be there to work with you to help you out, to shortcut things that you haven't dealt with before. I think we don't want to shortcut everything because you need that experience. You need to be able
Yes.
to provide your own spin
Yes.
on whatever it is. But you do want that ability to learn and have others give you that insight to
Mm-hmm.
cut down the potential errors. But I think the other thing when we think about that though too is you can have somebody share something, but what they went through is not going to be your journey. So you may still come up against obstacles,
Yes.
but you'll get over those quicker because of
Yeah.
that circle of advisors that you can lean on and bounce ideas off of, ask the information to be presented. But it comes down to the clarity piece to understand who do I need to fill this role. And that might sound selfish because people are like, well, am I cutting people out? You're gonna have to cut people out. And it's not
Yeah.
selfish because it's helping you cut down and get to that next level quicker. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another aspect of clarity is feeding into those that are trusted in your tribe that you're allowing to come into your tribe, but also attracting people coming into your circle to that is what you're searching for. So I think that's another aspect that with clarity is going to drive that, which is super important. But I know when you think about it, you've had experiences, you've shared it in the intro, where you didn't have people to lean on. And when
Yeah.
you think about where you're at, the clarity piece, what would have that done if you really had that trusted circle of advisors when everything went through before? Now with what you know and where you're at now, what would that look like if you really thought about it?
Oh, I do think about it. It's not about carrying the torch. What would I do differently? What can I say to individuals who know about my story? And what can I give? Number one, you got to trust who you are, never change who you are, and be around people that love you for who you are. If you're big and loud and you speak from your heart, you want to be around people that truly cherish that, because if not, they're trying to change you and you got to stay away from that. And if I was around people when we took that massive hit, uh, man, it would be a life changer, because you think, and I thought when that happened, I thought I had all these people in my tribe to be there for not just me, but my family, right? My daughters, my children, my wife. And when that happened, it was like, and they just scattered. And it's what's sad about it is that Holly and I never stopped. And then people start coming back, and it's like, why would I want to be friends with you? You
Mm-hmm.
left me when I needed you the most, and now we're coming back into success, and now you're trying to weasel yourself back in. Guys, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, you need to stay away from those people. Let me just tell you, when people talk smack and put you down, something will always trigger it, and you need to stay away. If you got to change yourself, right? And you're like, well, I'm trying to fit in. Well, let me just tell you, screw that crap. Because I'm telling you, when you walk in a room, and I'll tell you this from experience, my personality walks in the room before I do. And it's because I have a big voice, big personality, and I talk to everybody. And I do not let anyone change that. And that's why I get around and talk to people. But if I did not, if I didn't go through what I wanted to go through, let me just tell you this, and I'm going to correct myself. If I had the people in my tribe was there, it would have been a different outcome. And again, thinking about that, together we are stronger would not have been around. Sometimes you take those journeys, Scott. It's the Lord gives you a journey, and you're like, man, this is not the journey I want. But again, when it comes down to it, it's not the money,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the house. It's about family. It's about the journey you're taking together, and it's about learning from that journey, and to have the power to teach people to say, "Hey, listen, I understand what you're going through. I've been there, and you can be there for that individual." This is why we started the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is made to help people out, but also be very straight, like leadership, straight, the no chaser. Guys, if I can do everything different, man, I wouldn't pick the people I thought was my best friends. Broke bread with me, drank my whiskey, ate my prime rib. They're gone. But you know what? Who stuck by me when we're going through hell is the guy on the other screen. And that's my buddy Scott. And you've seen a lot of things I've gone through. And man, having a good tribe and having great people around you, and they only care for who you are, not what you have, not what you have in your bank account, what house you have, what car you drive. They truly care about you, your health, your family. Those are the ones you keep. Those are the ones you keep close to you, because when you're having success, they have success. When they're having success, you're having success, because you work together just like a Ferrari. It's just smooth, fast, and it's fun. It sucks when you are by yourself. and you have nowhere to go.
Well, that ultimately, when you, like I highlighted, that clarity piece is the centerpiece because everything else is going to trickle off of that. And
Yeah.
so it is one of those things that, with the clarity, what's going forward now, looking back, finding those lessons, it feeds into that.
Yeah.
And so it is a very interesting thing how people try to skirt clarity because they feel as if maybe it's going to limit them, but
Yes.
truly it's going to be the boundaries that are going to set up and help you, but it's not the end all be all, but it's also the boundaries with the filtering system. And that's a huge piece because if you don't have that filter to clean it, you're chasing everything and you're going to be all over the place. You're not going to be service to anyone because it's very interesting how you'll hear people are like, oh, I can serve everyone. No, because you're not everyone's cup of tea. Clients are not ideal for you. So part of that too is that clarity of who do I ideally serve? Who do I want to push away and make sure they don't join because they don't fit? And so that can be a tough thing too because we want to be all happy go lucky, but you got to set those boundaries up to push people away. And if people get pissed off about that, so be it. But you need to create that filtering system to push away and then pull people in that are ideal for whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting step point here because I think some people are like, I don't want to do that because what if I miss somebody? Well, great, they're probably not who you need, and so you
Mm-hmm.
can't get upset, but you need to understand the power of clarity. And if you're struggling with that, you need to take some time and really ask yourself, what is the end goal? What am I trying to accomplish? And then
Yes.
reverse engineer from that point to where you're at, and then start building and working those steps. So it's a very interesting thing. I think some people are like, "Oh, clarity is just going to limit what I can do." Well, you probably need that because now you're
Yeah.
not chasing everything.
Well, I mean, what's that old saying? If you hang out with four dummies, guess who's going to be number five? If you hang out with four smart people that's smarter than you, guess who's
Hmm.
going to be number five? It's going to be you. You have this. You got to check your surroundings. You got to know your surroundings. And just because you're out there having a good time, making laughs and everything else, you need to find the people that you can truly lean on, trust. Remember what I said. Yeah, when I said yesterday on the episode is that if you can count how many people on your hand who will be there for you no matter what you go through in life, and you can count three people, two people, you're rich. Because really, you really find out at an older age who's your friends and who's not.
Hmm.
And that tribe is huge because, we have a limited time. No one knows when your time is done, when the good Lord takes you home. But while you're here, why not surround yourself with people and have clarity? Bring people in, show them what you're doing, like we are doing. We're having Ron, our part of our team, and it's that clarity piece that we all pull together because everyone has a different part. See, when you have that different tribe, when you have a tribe that not everyone thinks the same, just like you and I, right? And when we talked about, working in silence, and I said, oh, I gave you a hard time. You're like, oh, I hit a nerve. And it's like, oh yeah, man, that made me think. You got to have that. You have to have people in your group that test you, that help you grow.
Hmm.
It's not helping grow is here and here. It's not the bank account because that comes, right? And cars and all that, if that's what you want. But to grow as a leader, you got to have clarity of what you want to do. You surround yourself with people who understand what you're doing, no matter what, no matter how you're doing it. They're there to support you and direct you the right way. Because if you are opening a brand new business And people say, just open it. You'll make it. You're setting that person up for complete failure. You're ready. You basically put them in a car with no brakes. And that is the wrong way to do things, guys. Surround yourself with people who understand who you are, who care about what you do, who are there for you no matter what. And make sure you bring people in that are talented, that who's an entrepreneur, who wants to grow and to do things. Listen, the one thing I will tell you, Scott, and you know me, I'm not about training all the time, right? And I'm like, I want to go to training. But I missed opportunities not going, to grab more knowledge, to sit there and be a sponge. I thought I really kind of knew it all, and I really did. And at 62 years old, now I take a look, and I should have just listened and got it done. And you know what? Again, together we are stronger, we wouldn't be here. And so it's a blessing, but a little bit of curse. But I'll say this last thing, and we can finish up, is I asked my two daughters recently, well, it's probably not recently, but a couple of years ago. And I asked Daniel and Aubrey, I said, let me ask you a question. When we were making money in the bank, money in the safe, we had everything, the house, the whole works. And then we lost everything. If you had to do it over, which way would you go? Both of them at the same time said, lost the money. Because when you have everything in your hands, you lose yourself, in a sense, if you don't know what to do. Okay, my daughters were just on top of that, and they would lose the $2 million like we did again, because we created ourselves a family that can work through anything and overcome anything. And that's your true tribe.
Well, welcome to Together We Are Stronger, the tribe. Like I said, this isn't for everyone. If this is really resonating with you, hit that subscribe, follow button. But the last thing here, really to ask yourself and really focus on, if you're stuck, go back to that clarity piece. Do you have true clarity? Or are you chasing everything? Because if you're chasing everything, your filter system's out of whack. So if you are stuck, where's your clarity at?
Exactly.